President Obama looking better in swing states.
He's got women voters to thank for that.
And Wisconsin looms ahead, and given the profile of religion of Republicans in that state, Romney could do well. I'm Frank Newport, Gallup editor-in-chief.
I'm Susan Page, the Washington bureau chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters. Well, Susan, our latest update of polling in 12 swing states looks pretty good for Barack Obama. He's pulled ahead compared to where he was in February significantly of Mitt Romney.
You know, this is the fifth of these swing state polls that we've done. The first one we did back in October. It's the first one where a candidate has a lead that's outside the margin of error. And the reason that President Obama has pulled ahead is because women, especially women under 50, have really moved to his side.
Now, to be sure, women consistently, as you point out in your article in USA Today, are more likely to favor the Democratic candidate. That's the fabled gender gap, but it's more so than usual right now, at least in this poll.
You know, it was 12 points when we looked at it in January, 12 points in February, up to 19 points in our newest survey. And both campaigns told me that that is a margin that makes it difficult for Republicans to win. There just are not enough men voting in America to overcome a gender gap with women that large.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that immediately people say is, could this be due to the birth control controversy, let's call it that? All of the fracas that came out about the Affordable Care Act and the implications for Catholic institutions having to offer birth control as part of the insurance plan and the pushback and so on and so forth. We're not sure that's what the cause is, although that's, you know, correlation sometimes is proof of causation.
And the fact that it resonated, the change we saw with younger women, is a sign that argument may be having an effect. And it comes as a couple other things happen as Republicans talk about Medicare, for instance, and social safety net programs that women trust Democrats more to protect and that are more important to women, we find in our polling, than they are to men. Now,
on the birth control issue, we did ask people in the swing states to rate 6 issues. How important will these be to your vote for president, your assessment of candidate positions? And the federal government's policies on birth control was one of those, and it was dead last. Now, higher among women than men in terms of priority, but still, even among women, it was at the bottom of the rank. So it's clearly not up there as an issue with unemployment, with gas prices, with the federal deficit, and so forth.
You know, no surprise, I think, that birth control would not beat joblessness.
Like abortion never shows up at the top.
But still, 1 out of 4 women said it was extremely important to affecting their vote, that one issue. And that seemed to me to be reasonably high.
Well, we'll see where it goes. We all know that at this point, you know from your experience, at this point in the campaign, polls don't have a lot of predictive validity, so things could change through the summer and next fall. But right now, fairly good news for President Obama. Wisconsin's one of the 12 swing states, right?
It definitely is.
And when we squeeze Wisconsin down to just Republicans, they're voting tomorrow night along with Maryland and D.C., but Wisconsin's really the state that everybody's focused on. You were just up there reporting. Polling shows Romney should win.
Polling shows Romney's ahead, although not by double digits, 5 to 10 points in 5 polls that have come out over the last week. And in interviewing people at Republican events, some Republicans, even some Republicans who feel good about Rick Santorum, might want to support him, say they think the time has come to consolidate, to get behind a candidate. That phenomenon is helping Mitt Romney too.
And the religiosity of Republicans in Wisconsin, something that I've been looking at in every state, is just average, slightly below average in terms of the percent of Republicans who go to church. You ask, why am I bringing that up? Well, it's a pretty good predictor of Santorum's strength. In other words, in Tennessee and states like that, in Oklahoma, states that he has won, Louisiana most recently, the percent of Republicans who go to church frequently is up at 50% or higher, but now it's down to 40% in Wisconsin. So that's a predictor, believe it or not, that Romney should do pretty well.
You know, that's true, although when you compare it to Illinois and Michigan, there are some kinds of voters that have been good for Santorum that are higher. There are more of those kind of voters in Wisconsin, rural voters. It's a more rural area. Voters who don't have a college degree. Those are demographics that have been good for Santorum. So in a way, this should be a friendlier state for him than Illinois was last week.
Nationally, we know that Romney has now moved to 43% of the vote in our Gallup tracking over Santorum, an 18-point lead. That's the highest for Romney, the highest that any candidate has had in terms of national Republican support so far this cycle, this whole campaign. That may suggest, and Wisconsin may be kind of the icing on this cake, that Romney is finally consolidating a front-runner position where people are saying he's the nominee, let's get on with it.
Taken a lot of time, hasn't it? He's been up and he's been down. One thing we found in our swing states poll, by 57% to 39%, Republicans and Republican-leaning independents in these 12 states said if it came down to Romney or Santorum, they'd go with Romney.
If the news Wednesday morning is Romney wins in D.C. and Maryland, which he's going to do, and also wins, reasonably in Wisconsin, do you think it's all over for Santorum?
I think it's possible that Rick Santorum will stay in through Pennsylvania in 3 weeks. That's his home state.
Yeah.
But I think it becomes harder and harder for him to make the case that he is credibly going to get the Republican nomination.
One final point on economic confidence and President Obama. Economic confidence is looking good. We have it now for the month of March. We're just getting ready to report it. It is the highest we have seen since we started tracking it on a monthly basis, going all the way back to January of 2008. And economic confidence is related to presidential approval, which in turn is related when it's an incumbent to a president winning. So that's looking good for Obama.
Yeah, the highest, the best economic confidence in 4 years. That's remarkable.
Yeah, good for President Obama, but a lot can change. I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters.